Hello, precious people. Here we are together. It's another fresh day. I'm so thankful for your irreplaceable light and the wisdom and experience that you bring into the world. Today is a gift. So let's open this gift with curiosity. Let's be kind to each other because we're all still growing and learning. So grab your nearest drink. I have my little brain drink I'm going to be drinking. It's honestly, I feel like it's really been helping me find words and think of things. Like, I'm planning all my episodes for next week, and I have all these great ideas, and I'm able to articulate them. So I love it. I love being able to think. Isn't it such a blessing? Something you kind of take for granted until you don't have it for a while. Honestly, people with word finding difficulties, people my age or a little older, probably slowing down upstairs, it's not fun. It's just not. So today's our recap episode of what I've talked about this week. So if you hear anything that I'm touching on in this episode, you can go back and watch a full 20 minutes of it. So the first thing I talked about on March 8th, I believe that was Sunday, was how we can find shelter in connection. Our little micro communities, our little, when you're feeling out of control and the news is so big, you kind of have to bring that worldview back in. Even this week, I had a discussion with my son, and he was saying, it's not, well, at church, we had a preacher talk about technology and your phone and things. And afterwards, we had a discussion about it. My son was saying maybe it's not just the act of having your phone or being on your phone, but it's actually knowing what's going on in the whole world. Because our human brain, our emotions, our anxiety, everything that's been designed into us was not meant to know about everything that's happening in the world. So right now with our phones, with technology, we have access to everything that's going on. I mean, everything, all knowledge, and even things that aren't truth. And we have access to so much that's not true, that's sensationalized to make headlines or get clicks, that's probably what's destroying our peace. So when I was talking about this earlier this week, you can have that fight or flight, that anxiety, but to fight that, you want to tend and befriend. I have sweet friends, a friend who made this. She invites me over to her house for these crafting get-togethers, and she's cultivating relationships and friendships, and she is such a giving, loving person that just making this crafting group has really been such a blessing to the people who go to her little craft events. I have another friend too who has crafting at her house. Hers is a little bit bigger, but I'm like, I feel like I've made such good friendships, and it brings your brain out of this everything's going wrong in the world into I just made this little gnome out of yarn. So it's it brings you into this micro community, this tend and befriend. It becomes almost a little fortress around you, around your emotions. So the next thing I talked about this week is your locus of control. And I was really trying to think of how to solve homelessness and poverty. Is it possible to actually fix the problems instead of keep feeding this monster of bigger and bigger homeless budgets and more units in a low-income housing area, expanding these ghettos or whatever you might want to call it, where people are generationally stuck in this thought of like, I have to be taken care of. Where's my next meal going to come from? Scarcity mindset. I don't know if I touched on that, but people get so wrapped up in this tunnel of like groceries, gas, rent, and they're focused on this. They can't break themselves out of it. And that's where I was like, maybe some sort of education, to empower people to have that locus of control within themselves. Not like all this is happening to me. I don't get enough assistance, or that program was just shut down. So now what am I going to do? It's like, yeah, bringing the control into yourself, the ability to make changes in your own life, your own direct surroundings. You have control over that. And I feel like that's being lost with this like savior complex, maybe, that some of us who are working in the homeless space and with charities and things, we kind of get this like savior complex, like, look at what I'm doing. And even one of the city council members in a nearby city was saying, hey, this is like, you can get government officials involved in your efforts because they need a notch in their belt. I don't remember how he said it, but it was like, you can get council members on your side to invest and direct money to these charities because it will look good for them. So it's like they're not even giving their own money. They're giving other people's money and directing it and feeling like they're the hero for that. And I feel like it's kind of a trap, and a self-perpetuating problem, unless we can like do some generational retraining, and get that locus of control inside themselves. So that was my thought. That was March 9th. I talked a little bit about that. Then I did dig into some generational things. I was thinking about how my generation is different than the one before it and the ones after it, because I feel like we did a lot of self-parenting. We did a lot of growing ourselves up. So on the 10th of March, I was talking about just some funny things, what we grew up with, and how like we were not gentle parented. But it's so funny because I feel like, because I love my parents. I had 2 sets of parents. I do love them. And I'm sure they did the best they could, but I felt like very neglected growing up. Like my needs, my emotional needs, my health needs, my medical needs, all of that was just kind of pushed to the side. It wasn't important. So then when I had my kids, then I believe my generation became helicopter parents. Then we raised the millennials and the Gen Zers, where it's kind of like we disabled them because we're helping too much. So I think this new generation with the gentle parenting and the permissiveness, like it's a good balance. Anyway, there's always new parenting advice that's coming out, and I actually want to talk a little bit about that next week, how to improve parenting. I feel like I did a good job. Definitely, I felt like I did as good as I could. I don't think I didn't care about my parenting or about my children for a minute. I was very invested in trying to do the very best and teach them personal responsibility and consequences, and give them a drive, explore their dreams, things like that. Really be supportive, but place boundaries. So I think my parenting is almost over. I have a 20-year-old and a 28-year-old, and that's, I think that is, I will always be mom. I tell you what, I will always run to the aid anytime I can, because I do have that helicopter parent in me still. Then on the 11th, I started talking about the ethics. Oh, wait, no, I think I skipped that. There was something here that I did not do. Oh, I think I did. Oh, I saw a report about CNN apologizing for their poor reporting. They dropped the ball, and that's what I talked about. I had to skip the ethics of ownership. I wanted to talk about how CNN was cuckoo cocoa nuts. They were describing this terrorist attack in New York City. Thankfully, they were very incompetent wannabe terrorists whose bombs did not explode, but it could have killed and maimed and hurt so many people. They threw these 2 homemade bombs into a crowd of protesters, and CNN's reporting made it sound like this protest is the one that made this violence happen and ruined these 2 boys' lives with being arrested. Something crazy. If you just read it how they originally wrote it, and you didn't have any sort of knowledge of what was going on, or that CNN has a slant, you would think that 2 young teenagers, 2 boys, just came in from Pennsylvania to New York City just to enjoy the weather, this unusually warm spring day, and then their day went crazy sideways, and it just wasn't what they were expecting because they got arrested at this protest. Completely irresponsible reporting, and I was beside myself, so I canceled the other thing, and on the 11th I talked about that. The 12th, I was buying tickets to the DEF CON hacker convention, so then that whole locus of control and problem solving and taking responsibility for things kind of leaked into my thoughts about this hacker convention. And I talked about how it has villages. I didn't know what goes on at a hacker convention. And I talked about CTF, and I was trying to figure out, what was that, computer or technology? What is that acronym? I figured it out, or I think I might have Googled it, because the guy I follow, his name is 0 Day CTF. It's capture the flag. It's like training operations and games and things. So at this convention, they do a capture the flag thing. Everyone gets this little QR code. Instead of a lanyard, like a big paper lanyard, you have this little technology. Looks like one of those little pets. What were they called? Our kids had these little animals. You took care of, little digital animals. So it's like this digital thing, and you can play games with it, and it sounds like it's going to be so fun. And then they break off into villages, so each village is kind of addressing a different security weakness or concern. This convention is super important, and so my husband and my son are going to go, and I talked about what goes on there. Let's see what I talked about the next day. That was yesterday, because it was Friday the 13th. I wanted to look into superstitions, and again, you could give away control in so many different ways in your life, and superstition is one of them, where you're just oh well, I guess if I'm just a lucky person, good stuff will happen. If I'm unlucky, bad stuff happens. When really it's your habits, your effort, I believe in manifesting. If you believe something's gonna happen, or you're more attuned to that thing, you'll have more of that in your life, because you'll see more. Once you buy a Cybertruck, guess what? Every time you see another Cybertruck on the road, your brain like sees it. It's like when I bought a Toyota Corolla, I did not know how many. It must be like the number one car being sold. I had no clue until I bought a Toyota Corolla that there were so many. And then at one point, being a Jeep owner, you look for other Jeep owners and you give them like a little gang sign. My son called it Jeep Gang. You always like do a little peace sign out to your fellow Jeep owners, and it's like I had no clue how many Jeeps there were. So really it is what you think about, what you focus on. You do identify more of that in your life. But if you just have this thought like everything's out of my control, the news is going crazy, homeless on the street, hackers and whatnot, everything's out of my control, you can't change your situation if you want change. If you want change, you can make change because you have that control inside of you. Honestly, we all, the 5 feet around us, we can affect that environment. Unless you have that victim mindset, that external locus of control. I don't know. That was my whole vibe this last week, is even with superstitions, you're giving up control over what you want more of in your life. Like, oh yeah, that's right. I talked about March Madness is happening right now, and people wearing their old dirty socks, and they're sitting in their lucky chair, and I don't wear deodorant on game days because my team loses when I wear deodorant. It was funny. I was never into sports, but living in Denver when Tim Tebow was on the team for just a little bit, and then we're winning and winning and winning, and I think we even made it to the Super Bowl at that point. And then I started listening to the game on the radio on the way to church, or it was just I didn't play it on the TV. I don't like that sound in my house, the sound of games and cheering, and for some reason I do not like that sound. So I listened on the radio to the commentary, and it felt like every time I listened, they were losing points or the other team is gaining points. I guess you don't lose points in football, but the other team was gaining. So in my mind, that became my little superstition. So I stopped listening and watching because I'm like, they lose every time I watch, every time I listen. So we all have that to a certain degree, but you can be aware of where your mind is, what you're thinking of, bring it into control. And that is very biblical. If you're a believer, you have control. Whatever is beautiful, whatever is pure, whatever is of good report, think on these things. So try to get your mind in a good place, because like I said, like when we do our breath every morning, I didn't do it today on the video, but because I'm in the middle of the day, I started late today. You're just checking, seeing what's going on in your body and taking action. Like, okay, oh yeah, that thing bothered me, or I saw that person, or I had that email. So shake it off, breathe through it. No one's chasing you. Believe it or not, it's just an email. But you could catastrophize anything. And I've been there where my emotions been out of control and I haven't taken into dominion what I can. So I hope you get something that I talked about today sparked a little interest. You can go back and watch a video, or do your own research. Get on there. Get on AI, get on Google, and start talking and asking questions. So, if anything here sparked a thought, why don't you go ahead and leave a comment? Subscribe to my YouTube channel, like, the videos, whatever you can do to keep getting more content. Every single day is a chance to learn and grow and become more of the wonderful person you are. Guess what? The world is better with your light in it. It just is. The world is better with you here. Your efforts, your presence. So, I will see you again tomorrow. Until then, I hope you have a wonderful Saturday. Do something good for yourself. Drink some vitamins, vitamin brain juice. Go out, relax, take it easy, or work out hard. Get your yard work done. Do something good for yourself. Even doing the yard work is great. It's great. It improves your environment, gives you some exercise, some sun. So, okay, I'll see you guys later. Remember, you're the Lord's precious ones. Bye-bye.